We're cooking heart-healthy Mediterranean bean soup today. So if you think you might want to know what that's all about, stay right there. I am so glad that you came to the kitchen of Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme. Because here our family loves to cook, to decorate, and to chit-chat all the time. And it's here in our kitchen where we are building a stronger family, and we are doing it one meal at a time. Our kitchen is the place where we are to love and to nurture and to encourage and guide our family and friends over delicious meals or just across the counter. So, don't waste time. Hit that subscribe button right now and get ready to have a wonderful time with the family. Now we're going to begin this Mediterranean bean soup with 1 cup of olive oil. Yes, 1 full cup of olive oil. So this is a 1/2 cup measure. So I'm going to need 2 of those. So I'm opening, as you can see, the large size bottle of olive oil. And I'm going to put that 1 cup in. So there's a 1/2 cup and a 1/2 cup. Now keep in mind, in Mediterranean cooking, it's all about olive oil. And the quality of the olive oil that you use is important. You don't want to get a cheap brand of olive oil. You want to get the best olive oil that you can. Now, I'm going to warm this up, and I'm going to put it on a reasonable temperature and just give it time to come up because I don't want it too hot. And we definitely never want olive oil to smoke. So we're going to bring it up. I'm going to put it on about a 5 on my stove and let you see that's where it is. And I'm just going to give it a few minutes for it to get hot. Now keep this in mind when you're working with Mediterranean dishes, that you want your vegetables very fresh. And one thing about Mediterranean cooking is the fact that when you're learning to cook Mediterranean, you have to remember that they eat close to 9 to 15 or more servings of vegetables a day. So in this bean soup, I have added in, I had some chopped celery, some chopped spring onions, a little bit of chopped red onions, and of course yellow onions. And guess what? All of them are going into this dish. So they're all in there. I'm going to get my spurtle, and I'm going to start to just kind of stir them up in this olive oil. And you can hear it sizzling as we're cooking. So let me turn you down so you can see better. I want you to feel like you're in the pot with the vegetables. And so those vegetables are sizzling in that good olive oil. And that's a good thing. So I'm going to turn it down to 4 because like I said, I don't want it to get too terribly hot. Now we're going to be adding in some house seasoning because after all, we need seasoning. And I'm going to put in a couple of tablespoons of my house seasoning. Now remember, my house seasoning contains very little salt. And so later I will probably go back maybe and add a touch of salt. And it may be that I may not even need it. So far so good with this seasoning mix because it has just a teeny tiny bit of salt. And we have been trying to cut back with the salt, and so because of that, we're able to take the seasoning mix the way it is, cook whatever the dish is, and once it cooks down, it really does not need any additional salt. So I'm letting these continue to sizzle. Now because I'm a pepper girl, I'm going to add in just a large pinch of additional pepper. Just add that in. Notice I haven't added any additional red pepper flakes. Not going to do that. But what I am going to add in here is a little bit of, if I have tomato paste, I'll put that in. If not, I'm going to put in a little bit of tomato sauce. And if you're going to measure this out for tomato paste, you're going to need about 2 heaping tablespoons of tomato paste. Now, before I put the tomato sauce in, I'm going to add in a huge handful of carrots. There, I've got some carrots. You know, if you have them out, these are pre-shredded, and that's what I had in my refrigerator. And I'm using up the vegetables I had in the refrigerator to make this soup. I'm probably going to serve this with either some garlic bread or some pitas, but I do have some sourdough garlic bread that I think I'm going to add to this. Now, I found that, you know, I keep containers of tomato sauce or tomato paste if I have any left over. I usually put it in the freezer. So I'm going to add in a 1/2 cup. And one additional thing to remind you of is the fact that the carrots are going to add enough sweet. You know, sometimes I put tomato ketchup into my bean soup, but I don't think I'm going to need it with the carrots. I've got enough carrots in there to sweeten it up. Now, what I will probably do is to add some additional garlic, because while I can smell a little bit of it, I can't smell enough. So let me see if I have some fresh garlic that we can throw in here. Okay, garlic I have, and I am going to put a heaping teaspoon of garlic in. And I have a little squeeze bottle that I keep organic ginger in, so I'm going to squish in some ginger as well, about a teaspoon. Okay, so we're going to get that all mixed up. Now, because I've added the garlic and because I've added the ginger, I don't want any of that to stick on the bottom, so I'm going to every now and then come over and give this a stir. And plus, once we add the liquids in, we'll be in pretty good shape. So as you can see, it doesn't really look greasy. It just looks liquidy, and that everybody's happy. So I've got this, my setting on a 4. But when I start to let this simmer, and I'm going to let it simmer for a good hour, and so that the soup will be just right. Now, I have 3 cans of white beans that I have put together. If you have cannelli, you can use cannelli. I didn't have those. I had white beans in my pantry. So I'm going to put those in. They've been rinsed and drained. So I'm going to give all of that a really good stir. And then I'm going to fill this pot, not totally, but I'm going to fill it about 1 inch over the top of the beans and the vegetables. About 1 inch. And maybe a little more. And you know, as time goes by through that hour, we may need to add just a bit more. So let me get some water and we will add the water to this. Now I'm using the container that I had the beans in, and I'm going to start to add that water in, add the liquid. And in fact, I think I'm just going to add that whole thing. So that was the container that the beans were in, and I filled it up with water. I'm going to give all of that a good stir, and if there was anything on the bottom of the pan at this point, with my wooden spoon, it's going to pick it up and bring it into the dish. Now I'm going to put a top on this, and it is going to simmer. And you know, this is one of those dishes, we really could have done it in a crock pot, and turned it on so we could go for the rest of the day. You could have put it together a couple of days in advance, put it in a Ziploc bag, poured it all into your crock pot, and voila, by dinner time, everything's done. But we're doing this together today and getting it ready. Now, I'm keeping my spoon for my seasoning just in case later on I find that I need to go back and add more. I don't think I will, but I'm going to cover this, and we are going to have a delicious bean soup. Now, if beans give you a problem, you're going to want to add about a teaspoon of baking soda. And that's just what I'm going to do. I've got my baking soda, so I'm going to put a teaspoon in. Now, what this will do will cause a reaction. It will pull off the gas, and that gas will cook out of the beans. So once I get that in, you'll see that it's going to get nice and foamy. That's the reaction you want. So you know this is good. We want that foam, because those are all those little gases that sometimes show up in our body. We're letting those gases off. So I'm just going to let that continue to cook. I'm going to leave the top off for a little while and let the gases escape. I also added in 1 teaspoon of vegetable base, and this is called Better Than Bouillon vegetable base. So I put in 1 teaspoon, and that's going to be enough for this entire pot, but it will give it a certain level of wherever the vegetables are a little light, it will add in the seasoning that it needs. Well, let's take a look now that all of the foaming stopped, and you'll see that it's bubbling away quite nicely. I've taken my spoon and given it a good stir, and I'm going to let this simmer for about 45 more minutes, and then I'll turn it off. Tonight's bean soup has simmered, it's hot, and it smells wonderful. You know what? We like our soup just a little soupy. And if you like yours a little thicker, you can certainly let it cook down more, or you can add in additional beans at the beginning. I've also prepared some sourdough pieces of toast that I have brushed with some olive oil and Italian herbs, along with a little extra garlic. And so those are going to be the perfect accompaniment for tonight's dinner. So let's get ready to eat. I hope you have enjoyed being right here in this kitchen as much as I have. I am so happy that you were here to prepare this Mediterranean bean soup with me, and that we could do it right here together and enjoy it. It was so much fun. And you know what? We're preparing heart-healthy recipes, and I absolutely love it. Now, in order for me not to talk with my mouth full, let me say to you, I hope you have an absolutely blessed time in your kitchen like I do. And I can't wait until we're in the kitchen again. So, blessings to you. See you soon.